Blockchain is not just about cryptocurrencies. It's so much more. It's about cryptocurrencies running on a secure platform while allowing for cheaper and way more secure contracts so that you can spend a lot less money on lawyers, accountants, etc. when you create contracts in the future. And before I explain that in more detail, I want to talk about the way that accounting and banking has worked for far too long. Not much has changed. And as always, I will build on the visuals so that we can thoroughly understand the future of money. Okay, so in my hand, I'm holding a check. Okay, this check was used, I gotta go like this now. My eyes aren't as good as they used to be. This check was used in the 1800s, basically 2 centuries ago. Nobody is alive today when this check was written, okay? And I say that only because the way that we do business and we account for checks hasn't really changed much since this time, okay? So what do we have in this check? Well, we've got the date, which is September 1st of 1885. I love eBay. Okay. And on the check, we have the name of the bank, which is the National Bank of Castleton. Okay, I don't know where that is. We have where the money is going to. We have the amount, who the money is coming from, and the check number, okay? Then on the back here, we have a number of stamps, right? You see that in the bank. They still do that today, okay? There's actually 5 stamps in total, proving that this is legitimate. Okay, so newer checks have bank account numbers and routing numbers, so we know where to send the money to. And this person paid a lot in fees to send this check. And you know what? Banking hasn't really changed that much since then. Okay, so what is this thing right here? What is that thing there? Huh. We got some old chains here. Okay, so I want to take you back in time. Okay, I want you to come on a journey with me as we go back in time together to January of 1958. Okay, I gotta play the part. Okay, so I'm gonna get dressed here. You don't have to laugh with me, you can laugh at me, that's okay. I'm used to it. Oh, black and orange or black and red. It's kind of like the San Francisco Giants here. Okay, I'm gonna do one more thing too. Oh yeah, I'm gonna grab this guy here. Oops. Okay, try to set the scene here. I'm gonna put on a little bit of music for you as well. Okay, here we go. Great. Huh? See that? Okay, cool. All right, let me build on this now. Okay, so we're back in 1958, and how do people keep track of what they spend money on, or how much money they make? Well, what they did back then, which hasn't really changed much since today, is companies use what's called a ledger system. Okay, now let me take this book here down. Okay, from this old chain, the old chain, new chain, old chain. Okay, I want to take it down from this chain here and actually show it to you. Okay. All right, so this is a ledger book, right? And you think it's secure because there's a couple locks on it, but it's not really that secure. Okay, so let's see what's inside this thing. Okay, let's take a look to see how people used to keep track and currently keep track of their accounting stuff. Okay, and this really isn't that secure. And I've actually got the keys to unlock it here. Okay, right here, let me open this up. Okay. There we go. We opened it. And I'm going to put this on the back here so I don't lose it. And I will put these keys back in my pocket. I think I can. If I can take it out even. Ah. All right. Done. All right. This lock obviously is not going to work for us. So let's take a look. Let's take a look to see what's inside this thing. Okay. Great. Smells like old comic books. It's not that secure, as we know. We just opened it up there. Huh. All right. I could see a bunch of things about this guy. Looks like he was running a company. And oh, what is that? Looks like an old picture of the family, I guess, and some kind of clock tower thing or Hill Valley, whatever. Okay. Sorry. A little bit off topic there. When you buy these things on eBay, they have this stuff in them sometimes. So. Okay, let's see what's in this thing now. Okay, so I'm going to tell you a quick story about this ledger book. Okay, I bought this on eBay, of course. And this ledger book was owned by a Canadian farmer. And the farmer documented all of the accounting transactions that he did between 1958, January of 1950 actually, and 1978. Okay, so about 20 years worth of data in this ledger book. Okay, and so I want to give you a close-up of what I see here. And I'm going to look here at page 2, and we're going to look at it together, okay, of this ledger book. This is how people account for stuff, okay, at least before they started using computers. Things haven't changed that much right now. Okay, so this ledger book is used to account for all the financials for this farmer. And we can see here that this farmer made $26 from selling cream and $92 from selling cattle as revenue. Okay, that's how much money this farmer made. Now, in terms of expenses, we see expenses of $70 for gasoline, okay? And we also see $19 for heating, and then revenue of $113 for selling 80 bushels of wheat, which was all organic food back then, okay? In fact, we see every single transaction that this farmer made in 1958 on page 2 here, okay? And then let me just go to page 55, and I'll give you a close-up there as well, okay? So here on page 55, I see the expenditures for 1978. Here we have the farmer started to rent the land out in 1978. Maybe he was getting old. Maybe he had some financial issues. I don't know. And then he started selling his tractors in 1978. And then for whatever reasons, poor guy probably had to pay a lot in bank fees and accounting fees and legal fees over the years. I know that for sure because everybody did. Okay, great. So the farmer also paid massive fees to send money to another country using Western Union here in the 1950s. Okay, he had to pay a doctor, the poor guy. Okay, I know there's socialized medicine in Canada, but he had to pay a doctor for some reason. Okay, poor guy. So we're going to call our Canadian farmer here for fun. Let's just call him Marty McFly. Okay, Marty McFly. I just made that name up. Okay, Marty McFly. And the scary thing is that the international wiring fees that this person had to pay that I see here haven't really changed that much over the years. The fees are ridiculously high. You know, not much has changed. What is that? Do you hear that? You hear that thunder? Huh. I hope it doesn't rain. All right.
Who the hell are you?
Western Union.
Dear Farmer Marty McFly, if my calculations are correct, you're getting ripped off with high fees. Can you believe that all those ridiculous bank and transaction fees that you mentioned here in your ledger book in the 50s are expenses that people are still paying today? I mean, how can Western Union and banks rip us off with these fees? We need a new technology like blockchain to help us save money and transact in a more secure way. Only one man can save us. Chris Haroon is not the man, but he will tell you more about this Satoshi guy who can save us.
Whew, looks like the storm has passed. Thanks for your patience there. Sorry about that. It's not very professional. It's just it started raining. Okay. All right, cool. So I'm going to explain who Satoshi is and what this blockchain stuff means in a minute. But poor farmer Marty McFly, he had to pay so many transaction fees, so many bank fees, you know, whenever he transacted, kind of like we do today. You know, I was looking through this for a while there, and I saw so many fees. It's ridiculous, really, right? So he had to pay really, really high accounting fees. I'll put it here so we can kind of account for that, right? Very high accounting fees. He had to pay really, really high legal fees as well for all of his contracts. Really not fair, poor guy, right? He also had to pay ridiculous insurance fees, banking fees, underwriting fees, et cetera, et cetera. So it's really unfortunate, and maybe that's one of the reasons why he had to sell his farm and all his equipment there in 1978. All right, so I counted for all his ridiculous fees there, in Canadian money there. Okay. So, but it's interesting to see how much disclosure and visibility and transparency we have for this farmer, Marty McFly, over those 20 years. It's amazing, okay? So it's a lot of detail. And I was thinking, wouldn't it be great if we could get a lot of detail like this when we transact with other people? It would make us feel more comfortable having more visibility into a ledger system like this when we transact, and also better security than this old lock here as well. So there's got to be a solution. I think you know what I'm talking about here. All right, so let me just hang up this ledger. I'll hang this back up here, and where did my lock go? All right, oh, here it is here. All right, the older I get, the better I was. I know I've used that joke before, but it doesn't get old, right? Okay, so let me hang this up here, and then we're gonna go from the past to the future. I think maybe we'll see. Okay, so it doesn't really matter, right? If we have a lot of transparency, if we lose this book, right? If you lose this book, you're kind of out of luck, and you might want to try to, I don't know, fireproof it. And I've got a fire bag here as well that I think the farmer was using, right? But it doesn't really matter, right? So if we put this here, it doesn't matter if it's fireproof if you lose the book. Okay, cool. All right, moving on. All right, so wouldn't it be great if we could transact and have a ledger system where we don't pay as much in banking fees, right? We could save some money, right? We don't pay as much in accounting fees. It'd be great if we had a ledger system where we didn't pay as much in insurance fees and miscellaneous transaction fees. It'd be great, more money in your pockets, okay, for the farmer at least. There is a pocket here, okay, good. All right, great. So let's build on this old school physical accounting ledger concept here and how it relates to a virtual new and better way that is cheaper and a way that's more to transact where there's more visibility as well. Okay, so let's build on this. I see a shiny chain here that looks a lot newer than this old one. So let's talk about blockchain. And I hope you don't mind, but I'm gonna take this jacket off because it's really hot and we're going to the future anyway. We don't need this. Okay, it looks like a life jacket, right? All right. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna introduce to you, if I get this down, the concept, right? Hey, binary. The concept of blockchain. Okay. All right. Great. Out with the old, in with the new. Okay, so let's talk about a digital ledger system, a better way of accounting for this. Okay, so the visualization process that I'm going to show you is really going to help us when we discuss mining, okay, or whatever it is you might want to mine in the future. So please make sure you watch the upcoming lectures and introduction to mining, which I think is in part 1.3 of the course, okay? Okay, great. So now I hung up this old, less secure accounting financial ledger system. Okay, and believe it or not much has really changed since our farmer Marty McFly documented what his expenses and income was in this ledger book here. Okay, now let's talk about blockchain because it addresses all of Farmer McFly's problems. Okay, and it is the future of money and almost everything related to money and contracts and secure information-based polling stations like elections, etc., and much more really will benefit from blockchain. Okay, and I'll explain this in a second. Blockchain is not only virtual, so it's easier for more people to access it, especially the unbanked, right? But it's also a revolutionary and extraordinarily more secure way of transacting. Okay, and blockchain is made so that you have complete visibility on every single transaction. Yes, every transaction. Amazing, eh? So how does it work? Well, blockchain is to cryptocurrencies what the internet is to email or what land is to our farmer. Okay, blockchain is like a platform. And let me explain that in more detail. Okay, so let's build our block here, okay? Okay, in my hand, I'm holding a block, okay? And a block represents a bunch of transactions that are secure and linked together, okay? And this block in my hand represents, actually, it's pretty historic, my pretend block here. This is the first transaction or first block ever done with Bitcoin, Okay, and so Bitcoin was invented by a brilliant man or woman or group of people we don't know, but the person's name is Satoshi Nakamoto, we think. Okay, and you can read Satoshi's game-changing white paper at this link if you're interested. Okay, and a white paper is like a blueprint explaining what a cryptocurrency is. So kind of think of a white paper as being similar to a business plan that an entrepreneur writes and usually writes before launching their company. Okay, and I mentioned the white paper now because when we discuss doing research on cryptocurrencies and initial coin offerings, which are ICOs, which we'll do in part 5 of this course, okay, and ICOs are like IPOs. When we discuss ICOs in the course, we're going to have to read about the white papers as part of our due diligence investment research process. Okay, all right, moving on. So Satoshi called the very first block or Bitcoin transaction the Genesis block, which is a really, really cool name. Obviously, it's somewhat biblical as well. And so this here, Genesis, was the first, okay? It was the very first block to actually get created, which is pretty cool. And you could see the permanent date on this first block, okay? January 12th, 2009, that was burned in, okay? Pretty interesting stuff. And during the first year of Bitcoin, back then, you could buy 1,300 Bitcoins for literally $1. Wow, okay? And we can also see that the sender of this block here is Satoshi. And Satoshi sent this to a developer named Hal Finney. From Satoshi to Hal, burned in. It's there forever. Okay. Also on this block here is this very historic 64-character hash address. Okay. They used to start with a lot more zeros. Okay. 64 characters. Amazing. Amazing. Okay. And Satoshi included the contents, actually, of this January 2009 article that you see here in this block, which indicates that Satoshi might have been in England at the time. And I'm going to put this image here of that the Times cover on this block. Okay, so let me put it on here as well. And let me just read the title of the article from the Times in 2009 that Satoshi referenced here. It says, Chancellor on the brink of second bailout for banks. So you know what's on his mind then, or her mind, or their mind, whatever. Okay, cool. So there we go. I'm going to put this here. And what I'm going to do actually is I think I'm going to just hang this up here. Okay. And yeah, I'll hang it up here so you can see the address. Whoops. Okay. All right, cool. And we're going to build on this. And when our block gets really long, what I'll do is I'll hang them up higher. Okay, great. But the actual code for the Genesis block can be seen here. Okay. And in the Genesis block here are the contents of that article that I had mentioned. Okay. Starting with the word chancellor. Okay, great. So we hung it up here and we're building our digital ledger. Okay, great. Now let's build by getting the second block here. Okay. I've got the second block in my hand, and this block in my hand here is what Farmer Marty, what his ledger would have looked like if Farmer Marty used the blockchain instead of his old ledger book here. Okay, it would look something like this. Let me build upon this. Okay, and this is small, but here's the first page here of Farmer's ledger. Okay, and there's a lot of transactions on it, and so I'm going to put this on the block. Okay. Okay, great. So that's the digital ledger. I'm going to keep building on this now as well. All right, great. So how do we know what order this block is in? Like, how do I know which one comes first, this one or another one? How do we know? How do we link to previous blocks? Well, there are links between all of the blocks. And I actually, I tried to put this together myself. I got really frustrated, as you can tell from this little video here. And I have my sons help out. I have 3 sons, and so I had to get 3 of these. I had to get 3 of everything. My wife, Christine, says that she has 4 boys, actually, in the house. So I don't know what that means. Okay, so I'm going to put this on here, and this will link to the previous block. Okay, so let me try to not break this time. Okay, cool. All right, so you've got, this was the address of the very first block, the Genesis block, number 1, okay, right here. And we've got a link here. So this is from Zelda. This is the character Link. Zelda is the princess, apparently. My kids were explaining to me. Actually, I explained to my kids, okay? I play Zelda. It is what it is. Okay, there we go. I'm honest. Very good transparency, okay? All right, so, but anyway, you've got Link here linking back directly to this block here. It's the same address, okay? Great. And then there's other details on this block as well, which we'll get to in a second. This took me forever to make, so if I drop it, it's not cool, not cool. This is like my 10th take of this. Hopefully I'll get it right now, okay. Okay, great. So again, Link's sword references the previous block. Let me build on this for fun, okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hash the contents of a bunch of text, okay, and I'm gonna show you in a video how I do it as well. And you'll kind of understand what this means because of what we did in part 1.1 of the course when we talked about security and we had that whole secure SHA-256 versus SHA-1 exercise, okay? So what I've done is I've hashed the contents of part of a ledger page here, part of this page here, okay? And it starts with the words $26 from selling cream and $92 from selling cattle, yada, 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 all that. And all that long string becomes a shorter string, which here is hashed with SHA-256, starting with D, okay? D5, 6B7, all that good stuff, which you can see there in the video, okay? This is not an exact science, but let's just take that 64 character SHA-256 hash address and put it on our second block here, okay? I've got one of those printer machines I put on here. Okay, so, and I made 2 labels for it because I pasted one on here and we're gonna need another one for the next block to link back to this block so we know what order the blocks go in. Okay, great. Okay, so we also have other information on this block as well, like who's it from and who's it to. So this looks like it was from Marty to the dock, right? So anyway, it's more information on the transaction here as well. And this is burned in this block forever. So let's attach this now to the chain very gently so that link doesn't fall. And I have to get Matthew and Andrew to help me again. Okay, careful. Okay, great, excellent. And I think I might have to actually put this up higher as we build upon this. So I'll do it very gently. Okay, great. And that's, yeah, you'll be able to see one more. Okay, great. Moving on. Let's build upon this logic. Okay. Block number 3, okay? The third block would have to reference the previous block, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this third block here and we're gonna put on our link character. And what letter do you think what link is carrying starts with on this label? What letter? D, because it's referencing the previous block. And just remember that we printed 2 labels. One is here and one is here because it links directly. Okay, link. I'm going to put this on. Fingers crossed. I'm going to put them backwards here. I don't think it matters. Please. Okay, good. All right, great. And so the contents of the third block is actually the next page of Marty's ledger. Okay, and so let's just pretend that we hashed a block. And we got 64 characters here, okay? And let's just pretend this block here is called, this is the next page, or this is the next page of the ledger that Marty made, okay? And we hashed it, and you know how to hash as well, right? Okay, and we put it right here. Okay, great. We're making good progress here. All right, oh, I almost forgot. I have to put the contents here of the other page in the ledger. Okay, great. So I'm going to put this one now on this blockchain here. Okay, great. And I don't think there's going to be room for the next one. So let me just put this up higher, please. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, good. Great. Okay. And I want to stress that the information in blockchains is not just about sending and receiving money It's about a more secure and more transparent way of sharing information and contracts. And in the future, we're going to be using blockchain for so many more uses, so many more cool things. So let me give you an example of what we'll do in the future with blockchains. Okay, so let me get my next block here. Okay, and I'm going to give you some examples of what could be included here. Okay, so on this block here, and I guess before I move on, I have to put on, you can tell I dropped this one a couple times. I couldn't find the left eye there, so sorry. If you want a refund, I understand. Okay, here we go. Good. Okay, cool. All right, great. All right, bonus points if somebody can tell me what kind of car that is in the bottom there. Okay, let me move on. All right, and what can happen is that in the future, in the blockchain, you can have election data, okay, so that elections cannot be tampered with, okay? You can also have other cool things like contracts for sports contracts, number 23 there, okay? You can also have, I'm having fun with this. Isn't this fun? I'm having a good time, man. All right. You can also have cars or leases. You can have that as well. You can have health-based data in a more secure way, kind of better than HIPAA here in the United States. I found this, sorry, that's dad humor. I won't do that anymore. Okay, great. And then we got you can have historical data as well, okay? Like this. All my friends are, poor guy, dinosaur, historical, old, not funny. I'm trying, sorry, I'm trying. Okay, great. And you can also have other stuff like, what is Snoop Dogg here? Should I re-record? No, screw it, I'll keep going. All right, so I'll put Snoop Dogg on here, and he can be part of the block party as well. Yeah, that was on purpose. Okay, no more dad humor, I promise. And when I do stuff like that around my kids, my oldest son, Andrew, he's 14 now, he goes like this. He puts his head in his hand, and I don't understand why he wants me to drop him off at his friend's house like a block away. I don't know, you tell me, but okay. All right, so there's so many things you can do with blocks in the future, and you know, in the future you'll be able to think of basically any type of contract to add to this. Okay, so let me just hang this up here. Okay, we're good. All right, good, great, almost done here. Okay, and so all transactions on the blockchain are permanent. Okay, remember when we made our paper wallet? And then I went to blockchain.info to see the transactions. Well, I can hang that up here as well because now it's part of the blockchain forever. Okay. Sorry, Marty. Okay. Okay, great. So just like how I burn the wooden blocks, this information here is permanent. Okay. Unlike this old ledger, which is not permanent. It can be lost or destroyed. Okay. You can't lose this. The reason you can't lose this digital ledger here, the blockchain, is because there are a ridiculous number of distributed copies of this blockchain all over the internet. Okay, so it can never be lost or destroyed. There's so many backups. It's unbelievable. Okay, so it'll last forever. And you can actually download the entire blockchain if you wanted to, but it's really, really big, so I don't recommend doing it. And a new block is created every 10 minutes or so when it comes to Bitcoin. And over time, that number will decrease a lot as more people transact in Bitcoin. Okay. Okay, great. So, you know, actually, let me show you the current size of the blockchain. I'll put up a graphic right here, and you can go to this link. Okay. As with all links in this course, you can go here to part 6. And you can drill down or just click on any link that's of interest to you. And every single link I mentioned in the course, and there's many of them, are included there in part 6. Okay, moving on. Okay, it's a massive file. So let's look at a couple of blocks just for fun in the blockchain. Okay, and if you want, you can click here in part 6 along with me. Okay, this here is block number 341670. Okay, from a long, long time ago in 2015. Okay. And notice the reward here for this block back in 2015 is 25 Bitcoin if you mined it. Okay. We're going to cover mining soon in this lecture or in this lecture here coming up. But a lot of the data you see in this block might not make sense to you. But as we continue to build upon the logic we have discussed in the course, you're gonna have this incredible aha moment when it all makes sense to you. Okay, and you can go to this exact web page here by again clicking in part 6 of the course. But you notice here how it's 25 Bitcoins. Okay, it's now lower, it's 12 and a half, and eventually it'll be half of that. You get the idea. Okay, now we can click on the next block here, which is 341671. Okay, comes immediately after the previous block. Okay, and you can see that that there's a link to the previous block there as well, kind of like we had here with link here. Okay, and if you go to blockchain.info/stats, we see every 10 minutes or so a new block is generated, and you could see more recent ones, like ones that have been published in the past couple hours or so, if you go to that web page. Okay, so we are now out of time for this lecture. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a good sense as to what the blockchain is and why it's way, way better, the digital blockchain, that is, than the traditional old Farmer Marty ledger book. After this lecture, we have a short quiz. And then after that, now that you understand blockchain, we can continue the next part of the course, which is part 1.3, and build on this logic so we can discuss mining, which is awesome. So please put on your seatbelt. Okay, this is going to get, it's about to get real. This is going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so we're going on a trip now. Okay, roads, where we're going, we don't need roads.